Conservation threats are becoming more and more important in a constantly changing and industrialising world. One less commonly known threat is the melting of permafrost in threatened areas such as Arctic and boreal regions.
Permafrost is soil that has been frozen for more than 2 years, most of which was formed at least 10,000 years ago and has survived warmer interglacial periods. Within the Northern Hemisphere, permafrost can occupy around 25% of land area.
Permafrost is composed of soil, rock and large pieces of ice. The colder layers are lower down, meaning a temperature increase would cause the top layer of permafrost to melt first. Organic material in the soil acts as a carbon sink, which stores carbon-containing compounds over many years. So as the permafrost melts, it is exposed, and decomposers can then process this material within the permafrost and release carbon.
CO2 and other greenhouse gases being released in the atmosphere is causing the Earth's temperature to rise through the greenhouse effect, causing many conservation issues. Climate change is occurring due to increased atmospheric levels of greenhouse gases trapping more heat within the atmosphere.
If permafrost melts because of this, more greenhouse gases will then be released through decomposition, creating a positive feedback cycle, where the temperature of the Earth will continue to increase, cycling a further increase of greenhouse gases.
The direct effects of permafrost melting can be extreme. Forested areas can be washed away by meltwater, destroying the habitat, contaminating water supplies and therefore aquatic environment, creating huge conservation threats. If large pieces of permafrost melt on a hillside, landslides expose the ground to further melting, causing roads to buckle, buildings becoming unstable and hunters unable to venture far for food.
To understand the effects of melting permafrost, scientists are trying to model the amounts of carbon released during permafrost melting. This needs to consider the amount of carbon absorbed by plants. Current estimates predict 200 billion tonnes of carbon will be released in the next 300 years. This could be a large underestimate due to 20% of frozen lands containing large pieces of ice, which will increase the melt rate of that area.
Unstable regions are often the most carbon rich, highlighting melting permafrost to be a major concern. 1 million square kilometres of Alaska, Canada and Siberia contain Eudoma. Eudoma is thick deposits of permafrost from the last ice age, nearly 90% ice. And since grasslands were folded in when Eudoma formed, it is thought to contain around 130 billion tonnes of organic carbon, more than a decade of global human greenhouse gas emissions.
But how much permafrost carbon could be released in the event of abrupt falling? To calculate this, in 2019, scientists compiled data about abrupt melting of permafrost and how this would influence plants, soil and the ground. It showed patterns of collapse and recovery. Lakes and wetlands are a large problem due to releasing greenhouse gases, as well as mountains and hills which release CO2 as they break up the surrounding area when they collapse.
These areas together are predicted to release 60 to 100 billion tonnes of carbon by 2300, while still only occurring in 20% of permafrost areas. Abrupt thawing also releases more carbon and methane per square metre than regular thawing rates, due to lower level permafrost being disrupted. So collapsed thawing could double the amount of greenhouse gases released in the same time period.
The vast amounts of carbon stored in these areas show that research into abrupt permafrost falling must be prioritised. It is proposed that climate scientists do this in 4 ways: studying which areas the most greenhouse gases will be released from, investigating forward soils on hillsides mapped by satellites, so researchers need details on what happened to the permafrost once thawed, to what extent plant growth will absorb the carbon released in existing plants as well as the effects of new plant growth in thawed areas. Finally, the distribution of ice in the ground, which is the main factor influencing the rate of permafrost melting areas.
This could only be done using new measurement technologies to map permafrost and ecosystem change, as well as increased funding of monitoring sites. Overall, the collection of more data on greenhouse gas release would allow the creation of more accurate Earth system models, which would include all the key processes about permafrost carbon release. This is a crucial tool in influencing policymakers such as the IPCC to help raise awareness and conserve the habitat.
We can't directly prevent abrupt falling of permafrost, but the creation of models can try to forecast what areas will be at most risk and attempt to alert policymakers to the global conservation risks of billions of tonnes of previously stored carbon being released.